Welcome to Movie Film. My name is Carl, and as you can see before you, we're doing another tier list today. Today we're taking a look at one of my favourite filmmakers, Quentin Tarantino. Now I have not customised the categories today. When I open it up, these were the categories and we're going to stick to these. On the left, starting from bottom to top, we've got terrible, watchable, good, great, and then masterpiece, which is a big shout. And as you can see, the films on the bottom there, we've got Death Proof, Django Unchained, Inglourious Basterds, Kill Bill Part 1, Kill Bill Part 2, Jackie Brown, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Pulp Fiction, Reservoir Dogs, and The Hateful Eight. Now I have not seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, so I'm just going to move that to the end and not include that one today, because I just haven't seen it yet. I have been told it's hit and miss. Some people love it, some people hate it. Maybe we'll do a review of it one day on the channel. If you want to see that, let me know in the comments below. So kicking it off with Death Proof, it's the first movie on the left here. I've only ever watched this movie once. While it's enjoyable, by comparison to everything else Quentin Tarantino has done, it's nowhere near as good as everything else. Perhaps his weakest film of his standalone films. Of course, he's written other films and part directed films or part produced films, but these are his main directed films. And I'm going to put Death Proof as watchable. It's fine. It's a good enough movie. By comparison to everything else, I don't think it's the strongest. Then we move on to Django Unchained, which I think is a fantastic movie. Jamie Foxx, very strong in this movie. Hard to watch at times. You know, Quentin Tarantino is not afraid of tackling some heavy subjects, but I think he does it really well in this movie. The story's really good, the action's really good. You know, Leo's even become a meme since then. But this is the thing with Django Unchained. I initially put it in great, and already I'm having doubts as whether to move it down to good by comparison to everything else, because I see on the list the next film up is Inglourious Basterds. By comparison, we might be moving this one down. For now, we're going to leave Django in great. Moving on to Inglourious Basterds, I love this movie. I think it's fantastic. Okay, they completely alter history, completely rewrite history, and just throw the history book out the window. It's also not too much like the original. As we said on original versus reboot, when we compared it to the original Inglourious Basterds, this version is definitely its own thing, apart from, you know, minor things like the title. Brad Pitt, I think, is really good in this movie. Christoph Waltz steals the show. I think is just one of the most iconic villains of all time. I think he plays it sensationally. And the performances Tarantino gets, the original takes on it. The ending was good, could have been a bit better, felt a bit rushed. But I think Inglourious Basterds is a truly great movie. Borderline masterpiece for me, if I'm honest, but I'm going to put it in great. Then we move on to Kill Bill Part 1. And when this movie came out, there was a lot of fanfare behind it, a lot of hype behind it, pretty good soundtrack on it. It's got some iconic visuals, some great action, and I think it's just a phenomenal movie. And I could say this about everything. I'm going to try to be critical and not just put everything in the great or masterpiece section, but Kill Bill, I absolutely love this one. It's such a stylized look. It's also got like the animation in there as well. Strong female lead with some badass female villains in it. Quentin Tarantino, perhaps ahead of his time. I just loved every part of this movie, and that's why it's going to great. Then we got Kill Bill Part 2, and after that, waxing lyrical about Part 1, you probably expect Part 2 to be in great. Well, I'm actually going to put down in watchable, not even in good, because Kill Bill Part 2 was good, but I don't think it's as good as the first part. I'm sure there's people out there who prefer the second part. Just I think it was a bit slower. It wasn't quite as action-packed as the original one. And maybe it's just the original one was original and this was more of a carry-on. So it wasn't as unique as Kill Bill was. Didn't enjoy it quite as much as part 1. But it is still a decent, watchable movie. Moving on, Jackie Brown. Absolutely love Jackie Brown. Again, could be great. I'm going to put it in good. Very good performances from Pam Grier, Robert De Niro, Samuel L. Jackson, of course, in there. It's a very, very good movie. Jackie Brown, I love the movie. It's a good, borderline great movie. Just I can't put everything in great, otherwise this entire tier list will just be one line, which basically is what we started with. So something has to go in good, and unfortunately it's going to be Jackie Brown, although I would highly recommend watching Jackie Brown if you have not seen it. Next up, Pulp Fiction, one of the most iconic movies of all time. If you're watching this list and you're like, I love Tarantino movies, but I've never seen Pulp Fiction, I'm lost for words if that's the thing. If there's anyone out there who loves Tarantino films but hasn't seen Pulp Fiction, that is the definition of insanity to me. I don't think it can be in anything other than masterpiece. Then we move on to Reservoir Dogs, and I'm not going to lie, the first time I watched Reservoir Dogs, I didn't enjoy it. Just putting it out there. I was young, I was stupid, I didn't get it. Majority takes place in a warehouse. It seems like a very small film on the face of it. And then when I went back and watched it when I was a little bit older, I got more of the jokes. That scene where the guy cuts off the guy's ear, very disturbing, and a very iconic piece of cinema, very well made movie in such a small contained space, and it's very, very good. Now, here's where I'm going to be controversial perhaps, because I'm sure a lot of people are saying masterpiece, has to go in masterpiece, or even great, but I'm going to put it in good. And there's people clicking off the video right now, I'm sure. But for me, I don't think it's on the level of Inglourious Bastards. I think I enjoy Kill Bill a bit more, and it's perhaps similar level to Django. As I said, Django, I'm still debating in my mind whether it's good or great. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed Reservoir Dogs as well, and Jackie Brown. But some things, you know, we've got to make a list of it. We can't just have them all in one line. They are great movies, but are they as good as the movies that are above them? I would say no. I'm sure that's going to be very controversial indeed. And then we move on to The Hateful Eight, which again, this might be controversial, but I love The Hateful Eight. When I sat down and watched The Hateful Eight, I was engrossed from minute one. Some great suspense in it, some great action, a few shocks in there too. Especially, you know, when Samuel L. Jackson gets shot from below. I think every man cringed when that happened, but a very good movie nonetheless. For me, my internal debate now is great or masterpiece. I personally think Hateful Eight is better than Kill Bill, better than Django, and possibly better than Inglourious Bastards. Is it a masterpiece? I might do this, although I borderline this, and I'd say if the order was anything, it would be this, where Hateful Eight is the greatest of great films. Not quite masterpiece, but borderline. Inglourious Bastards then would be second on that part of the list, Kill Bill third, and Django fourth. In good, I'd put Reservoir Dogs. Good, borderline great. It probably should be great. What am I doing? It should be great, but internal conflict, something has to get knocked down. And then we got Jackie Brown, then Death Proof and Kill Bill 2. Again, good movies. They're not terrible. I don't think you can put them in terrible, but forgettable, you know, not quite as good as the rest. The movies above Kill Bill and Death Proof are definitely iconic. Now there's probably been people shouting at the screen throughout this list going, what are you doing putting that there? Why is that not higher? Why is that not lower? If you've got any opinions on this Quentin Tarantino tier list, let me know in the comments below, or if you want, I will put a link to this tier list in the description and you can go make your own tier list and show me how it's done. Send me your tier list on Twitter. There is a link in the description to our Twitter page where you can send us pictures, you can send us your tier lists, and maybe someday we'll review them and see who's got the best one. For me, this is my Quentin Tarantino tier list. Let me know what I'm wrong about. And there we have it, another tier list down. If you enjoyed today's video, please hit that like button just so I know that you're watching. And of course, if you're new to movie film, please check out some of the other content on our channel. If you love movies, you're sure to find something that you like. And of course, if you like what you see, or even if you're just new to movie film, please consider hitting that subscribe button for new content every Wednesday and Friday. Some other reviews thrown there from time to time as well. But with all that said and all that done, thank you so much for watching.